All right, so it looks like we're live. Excellent. Your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. Good afternoon and good evening to our audience and to everyone who's joining the show. Thank you for joining us today and for finding some time to tune in and to listen to a really great conversation today. So my name is Dr. Lorraine Niba, and I'm so deeply honored, truly honored to be guest hosting the Lambom Show because this is just a show that since its inception really has been a fantastic platform to curate and tell stories that are really critical and impactful for our community. And in addition, I'm hosting a phenomenal panel of women today. So I'm very excited about that. So I certainly have many roles, as everybody does. But today, my most important role is that of being a friend, a classmate, and member of several wonderful women's networks, one of which we're going to feature today, right? So we're going to tell the story of one of the most special and meaningful networks to me. But of course, we as women and really communities of people, we tend to get together and we tend to work together. And it's wonderful when we have success stories to share. So who are we? We're actually classmates. We met in Catholic boarding school a gajillion years ago, a very, very long time ago. And unfortunately, we've actually stayed very close. We've stayed very connected. We've kind of built a trust among ourselves. And I've always stayed very supportive of each other. And so just about last year, this time, September to be precise, a group of us, we call ourselves the pace setters. A group of us, we got together and decided to really start a lifestyle transformational journey. Really looking at holistic health and wellness and really making sure that we were taking care of ourselves. We were being a little bit more mindful about our lives in general, but most importantly, about our physical and emotional wellness. Again, as the Tim Sanders quote that I opened the show with, your network, the people that you're around all the time, that you spend time with, really reflect on who you become as a person. So here we are a year later, and we want to talk about the journey and kind of share our journey and hopefully inspire other people. So what I want to say is that I'm not a journalist like Lambert is. I'm actually a food chemist by training. But I hope that, our story today, as we share the story, it will be compelling enough for you. You're going to find it inspiring. And most importantly, that it will also help you to co-motivate and co-inspire other women and other people in any networks that you're a part of, right? So we're going to show you, we had a starting point. 12 months later, where are we? And we think we have a compelling success story to share and to really inspire other people to go out and also make change and also make impact. So welcome again to the show. And I'm going to stop talking so you can actually hear from this phenomenal panel of women that we actually have joining us from across the world. So ladies, how are we doing today? Please set us. How is everybody doing?
Great.
Great. Okay, and everybody looks phenomenal, by the way, right? You guys sort of just uplift my spirits looking at all of you. So we're going to start with introductions. And what we'll do is, so Ade, I'm going to start with you first of all. We actually call you the coach. I think you're muted. Ade, I think you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Sure.
Yeah. So we actually call you our coach because you're usually up at 5 a.m. in the morning and you make sure everybody's up and running. But maybe just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and most importantly, what inspired you to get on this journey and what was so different this time.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Lorraine. That was really a fantastic introduction, and I'm really honored. And thank you, Lambert, for having us on this platform. Yeah, my name again is Adeline Nzeka, and by my career, I am a senior Oracle DBA, and what that means is that, I manage, store, and secure my clients' data so that when they go in to retrieve the data, they find what they are looking for and in an efficient fashion, right? So if not, I'll be getting a call, right? So that is what I do. But one of my passions for the past, I would say, 12 years has been health and wellness. And if you ask me why I decided to start this journey, my answer would be I come from a bloodline that has, chronic high blood pressure. And like at a tender age of 20, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and I have been dealing with it ever since. And to have that in the family, and then, coupled with the fact that I was overweight, and let me not say overweight, I was morbidly obese. When I say morbidly obese, I mean morbidly obese. On on a good day, I'm 5'4", and on a bad day, I'm 5'3". So imagine a 5'3" person walking around with 275 pounds. That was just stressing my body and making the situation that I had worse. Having high blood pressure and then being overweight. That just made it worse. And no matter what my doctor did, nothing was changing, and year after year, the medications kept increasing. I started with one medication, then it was two, and then three. And it got to a point, there was the day I actually got to my doctor's office, God bless him, and got on the scale, and I weighed 275 pounds, and my blood pressure was out of this world. He sat on his chair, pulled his chair close to me and said, Adeline, we have to do something. He didn't say, I have to do something. He said, we have to do something. And the next time you come here, which will be in 3 months, I want you to have lost at least 30 pounds. And in 6 months, I want you to have lost 50 pounds. I looked at him as if he was crazy. And I don't want to repeat what I asked him because sometimes I'm very, very, embarrassed when I remember what I asked the doctor. I cannot repeat that. So I left the doctor's office that day and sat in my car for about 5 minutes, took account of my life. And I said, you know what? I need to do something. I really need to do something. And at that time, I was addicted. So let me say addicted. I would call it an addiction, yes, because to soda, because I could drink like 3 to 6 cans of soda in one day. I completely replaced my water intake with soda. That was crazy. In fact, that morning driving to the doctor's office, I had the 1.5 liter bottle in my car that I was sipping on my way to the doctor's office. Can you believe that? With my blood pressure and my weight, I was sipping soda on my way to the doctor's office. And the first thing I did when I after sitting in my car for about 5 minutes was I took that can of soda, found the nearest trash can, and I put it inside. And I took a vow that minute that I would never put soda in my mouth again. And it was going to be out of our shopping list in the house. And that was what happened. And within, 3 weeks, I had lost 10 pounds just from not drinking soda. 3 weeks, I lost 10 pounds. And that was when I decided this was the time, that this was not as, tough as I thought. And this was the time to do something. So I registered in a gym and I started exercising. Name it, I did it. Every diet out there, I tried it. If they said it was, smoothies that I have to do in the morning, that was what I did. But the problem was that I was not able to stick to any diet. I wasn't. When I started, I would see the results. And after a while, I would just fall off the diet and then gain some of the weight back. And as you all know, for those of you who are on this journey, when you stop doing what you are doing, whatever diet we are working on, and the truth is that every diet works. That's the truth. It works, but being able to stick to that diet is what is a problem with many of us. So I couldn't stick to one diet. And then I came to realize that the problem was not really the diet or me not being able to stick to the diet. The problem was that I didn't have anybody coaching me. I didn't have anybody to wake up in the morning and, ask, okay, today I'm not feeling it. I don't feel like going for a walk. I don't feel like exercising. I don't feel like eating the green vegetables today. So what can I do differently so that I do not go back to the bad things out stuff I was putting in me? So so the difference this time around was that we got together in a group with people that had the same passion, and the fact that we have people in the group like Dr. Lorraine and Dr. Najala and Dr. Claire, that's a pharmacist, it helps because when I have questions, I'm able to go to them and they are able to just help me deal with what I'm not, that I'm, what I'm, the problem I'm having. Sorry.
Wow, wow, Ade. Ooh, right off the bat, just so many incredible nuggets in there. And again, thank you for your openness. I mean, for us who are, within the group and within the network, we were very open, right? And it helps. That's the whole point about belonging and trust. So just some really wonderful things that you've brought in there that I would like us to explore a little bit further down the road. You talked about the food addiction, the addiction to soda. Many people don't even believe that exists. You talked about the fact that just the little actions make a difference, right? You took action right away, you saw an impact. And then most importantly, we talked about something that you actually do better than anybody else, which is coaching and motivating other people, right? So just some really special, wonderful nuggets in there that, as we continue the show, we'll dig into a little bit. And many people have either, even if it's not a soda addiction, for me it was a chocolate addiction. We all have something that it's very hard for us to deal with, but it is real. And then obviously, the big push for you was your health, which what we always do is, you have high blood pressure, then you're taking pills after pills, and you never really think, what can I do to prevent or to manage it? So thank you for sharing that already, just so many incredible things. So we're going to move on to Dr. Claire Mina, who is one of our people who does all kinds of cool exercises. She owns a gym in Cameroon. So Claire, maybe just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and really, and as everyone can see, right? Looking fabulous. Sort of why this time was different.
Well. Thank you again, Dr. Lorraine, for hosting us today. And thank you, Lambert, for, again, giving us this platform of yours so we can be able to share our stories. So, Dr. Lorraine, I must say you are looking fantastic. I draw my inspiration from you all. So thank you so much. Now, I am, what should I say? I can start with, I am a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a lesson, and of course, a pace setter. So, but not as far as my career, I'm a pharmacist and also an entrepreneur. So kind of wear a number of hats there. So, and then as far as me starting this journey, what was my push? I'll call myself a dropper, meaning that I've been starting this, I'll start, and then I'll be so good for about 3 weeks, a month, and then I'll quit. So every time, and my motivation, I've always been that kind of person that's been spotted from when I was young. You all know from Lords and even from way back, growing up as a little girl. I've always been the outdoor kind of girl, want to do, go out riding, go out fishing, just doing outdoor kind of stuff, climbing trees in Cameroon, mango trees, guava, you name it, I was doing all of that. So now, as I started having kids, I started realizing that I was kind of just putting on this weight, just fat, just kept building in places that I didn't want them to be. So, and I was struggling with it. So I didn't like that. So I would try this, and Dr. Najela can testify. I would show up on one of her programs, and then I'd be so excited. Before you know it, I'm like, Najela, please, I'm out. I would just disappear. So, but this time, what really happened for me was, I remember, and Sheila is on here, and she doesn't know this, but she's gonna find out now. When we were in Cameroon last year sometime, and we were about to go somewhere. So I had on this outfit, the top, and it was one of these free flowing blouses. And so Sheila was like, she made a comment and she said, Claire, why are you wearing all these free clothes now? What happened to your, tight fitting, slim fit kind of clothes that you used to have? I said, well, shit, you know my problem. She said, yeah, I know, but you need to stop. So that really resonated with me. So I went home and I reflected and I was like, huh, really? I've been buying, every time I go to the store, I've been buying all these free flowing clothes because I realized I now have folds in places I don't want. And instead of me trying to tackle them, I'm adapting to them and just making it my way of life, trying to make that my story. And that resonated with me so much. And I listened, and it kept resonating in my head. And I was like, okay, you got to stop, Claire. You got to stop. So I told myself, okay, free flowing clothes, you are out. I said, fat, whatever you're doing in my body, we are done. I'm no longer going to be your host. You got to go. So I was so determined. I told myself that comment that Sheila made, I'm going to get back into the Claire that I was. I'm going to get rid of all this fat in all these places and these folds that I don't need and get back to my just body fitting clothes that I used to love. So, Sheila, I want to tell you today that I can fit into those body fitting clothes again.
Now we are talking.
There you go, girl. I love this, Claire, because again, just so many incredible pieces in there. And we're continuing to see this beautiful thread of, it's your friends, right? And your network and your people. And I so love the fact that you have, it's your friends who tell it like it is in a loving and empathetic way, and it's something that you were not aware of, to sort of have that trust again, where Sheila could tell you, who, by the way, is very stylish, right? As everyone can tell, can say, you know what, I need to see you looking like this. So that is so beautiful, Claire. And I love the fact that you talked about, pregnancy and becoming a mother. Again, it's something that sometimes people feel, very hesitant to talk about how it impacts them physiologically and their weight. So just a lot of beautiful things in there that we're going to talk about. You brought up Najela's program that we'll talk about now when we talk to you. And again, this continuous thread of your network and the people around you and the accountability and the love and the empathy and the support. So we're going to continue, right? I hope everybody is as enthralled and inspired as I am, again, listening to my sister friends sharing their story. But we're gonna talk with Ka next, who's actually calling in all the way from the UK. That's how we roll, right? We're global, and Ka, I just love your approach to working out and wellness is so fun, right? And when I use the word fun, it doesn't even begin to capture it. Your videos, everything you do, you make it so enjoyable and just so creative. So maybe just if you could tell us a little bit about what you do and sort of what compelled you to get on this journey, and maybe share a little bit of that with us. So yeah, there you go. Oh, good, the technology works.
Right. Thank you so much, Lorraine. I know, Dr. Lorraine, you have been on my case, haven't you? And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lambert, for giving us your platform for this education, motivation, inspiration that we want to pass on. My name is Kaju. I live in the United Kingdom. I'm a mother, a wife, a registered general nurse in the UK. Well, going into the our group, which is called Fat Be Gone. I remember my classmates starting this, and I was peeping as usual, the shy me, and I was looking at them and thinking, should I join them? Should I not? I don't think I will persist because I always drop out in most of the things. So I said to myself, one day I texted them, I said, okay, I want to sheepishly join them. And I did. And I can remember not being able to even do a jumping jack the way that everybody was doing it. I could remember everybody was sweating so profusely, and I couldn't. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? But anyway, I did put all my effort. I did everything, and I started calling it cars, whatever, because mine wasn't the same like theirs. But anyway, it kept on, and I started feeling good in my own self. I piled on the weight, but I don't think I did take notice of it because maybe because I've not had any ill health, maybe because I wasn't feeling odd, but I went on anyway, and I carried on with this car, whatever, doing my own thing. But it did come to a point, and then everybody drops out like usual. I think come January time, I fell down as usual. And then I know Lorraine, again, on my case, followed me after that. And and then said, what's wrong? I said, no, I'm okay, but I'm still doing it, but not posting it as usual. Another thing is accountability. At some point, I said to myself, if I start putting this thing on social media and say, this is what I'm going to do, then it's going to make me accountable, and I'm going to carry on doing it. So I think that was my way out or my way in to it, really, to do it. And throughout, I've been doing one or two things here and there. There's one I started last month or so, Lorraine getting me into the press ups, and then I started the cars, whatever, ABC sort of thing, but I just went on, and I'm still in it. I've not really lost any weight, but I feel well. I feel good in myself. I'll pass it over to you, Lorraine. Thank you so much.
You didn't have to read me like that, right? You don't have to tell everybody that I'm on your.
You've been on my case.
So, but you know what? I love the fact that like I said, because you post videos, right? And I follow your videos. And again, I want to commend you because I nominated you for the push-up. And without asking you, right? And you picked it up and you did it for 25 days and made it fun. You had music. So again, it kind of shows the power of friends and community and network, right? Yeah. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit about all of this, your creative exercises, and with food, right? You post pictures of your food. Again, like I said, what is so cool about yours is that it's truly holistic. It's fun. I think it helps people to stay excited about it. It doesn't look like weight, managing your health and holistic wellness. Yeah. It's not boring at all. It's fun, You feel good and you enjoy it. So, and I know many people wait for your videos like I do.
I know. I couldn't believe everybody was like, "You've not posted," and I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah,
most people were really on my case. As far back as my mom was like, "You've not done it today," and I'm like, "Okay, wait, come on at some point."
So you're not going to be a topper again. You can never stop because of the pressure.
I know. Thank you.
So it's fantastic, sort of all very different stories, but again, all very positive and inspiring.
Mm.
So we're going to transition to Dr. Najela, who actually, is probably she started this journey way ahead of us, right? We call her the queen because she's just at a different level. Like the gold standard, right? She actually has been on this whole clean living, clean eating journey, and actually has a health and wellness company. So Najela, maybe, and we'll talk about the Najela Transformational Sanctuary as well as the new fundraiser that you're starting and program you're starting, for Cameroon. But maybe just, you've been on the show before, so I'm sure some people know you, but maybe for our new audience, just talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what keeps you, because you're not starting this, right? What keeps you motivated and how you motivate other people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I am so excited. I am, among my sisters. These are my sisters from birth, from Bayele, from, Lourdes. All my sisters here, we have been in trouble together from birth, honestly. So I'm enjoying this. This is like, the highlight of my life right now, just being here on this forum. And Lambert, you just don't sometimes understand how much you do to sisters to give them a platform like this. Kudos to our brother here. I mean, you are shining the light to the world by bringing us, to just share our story and our love and our sisterhood and our wellness. So thank you all so much for joining, and please share this video. Share. We want this video all over. So, Dr. Lorraine, man, it's so hard to call these doctors, but
exactly right. Exactly.
we have to keep it. We have to keep it professional. I mean, we all work hard. So, Dr. Lorraine, Dr. Claire, Mrs. Carr, Sherlan D4, Mrs. D4. Hey, what am I missing? Am I missing my head? And my dear Mrs. Adeline Zeka, I really am so happy to be here. And who am I? I'm a chemist. Okay, so I am a chemist. I make chemicals for the electronics business. So I'm a technical manager for DuPont. So on a daily basis, we try to make your semiconductors pure, and we work on, all the magical materials that are on your phones and on your computers, on your circuitry. So that's what I do during the day. But my passion is taking that chemistry and applying it to our everyday lives, in what we eat, in how our bodies burn the food, in how we become well, holistically well, and especially community wellness. So that's me. I'm a mother of 3. I'm actually a Mani. So I have a set of twin girls who are 26 years old now. And, oh, there you go. And my son, who is causing havoc back here. But yeah, my son, sorry about that. We're always mothers, right? My son is 15 years old. So that's who I am. But I have really grown up to see that what really builds us up is how we nurture our bodies and how we relate to the community, the way we nurture our bodies. So our wellness is actually a community attribute, right? So if we become well and we become fit, we are actually accountable to the community. And that's what this group here is about. So we call ourselves pace setters. Fat be gone. So the fat is actually going away, and we work together to really build that community. And here we are sharing our success stories, success in terms of weight loss, success in terms of sisterhood, success in terms of feel good. I swear, Ka is the one person who wakes me up. She's in the UK, so we get her. I was looking forward to the Z words, and I didn't. We'll talk about that. We have a lot to talk about, but come on now. You wake up in the morning and you turn on your Facebook and you see Lorraine, shouting out about food nutrition. You see Claire talking about medical training in Cameroon. You see Sheila doing push-ups in Bafusam. What else could be so fulfilling being in a sisterhood? You see, Adeline wakes up in the morning at 5 o'clock, walking, and she's like, knock, everybody wake up. So we all jump up and we start exercising. Hey, if you don't belong to a sisterhood like that, I don't know what, I know we're bragging, and it's good to brag, but I really want you guys to see the love that's emanating from just being well in a sisterhood. So I have other caps that I feel. I have a Nigella's Transformational Sanctuary that I bring women back to their fulfillment. So I have women from 20 years old all the way to their 60s who have started from not being able to do a push-up to doing burpees, 30 burpees, and we have probably dropped thousands and thousands of pounds and kept it off. So I also have a book called The Taste of Africa, where I have condensed our African meals in terms of numbers, in terms of nutritional content, in terms of calorie content, in terms of portion size, in terms of menus, in terms of recipes that you can use to bring our progeny into our culture and also understand how to be well the African way.
Oh, wow. You know, I'm almost lost for words now because I was trying to like capture notes, even while just being, again, you know, just spellbound by everything you said. But I love the fact that you started off with community. Like you said, sisters from birth, right? So, but you're absolutely right. You know, the C word, the elements of community, of network, of belonging, of inspiring and coaching each other. You know, again, Ade making sure that, you know, Rain, you know, she puts on her beanie hat if it's too cold and make sure she goes for a walk, whether you 10 miles in the cold, you know. So, very, very inspiring. I just love the fact that you talked about the importance of, as a chemist, the scientific and real approach, right? So it's not about, you know, when you take control of your wellness, it's really not about, you know, rumors or whatever you hear, but it's really, are you doing the right things, and sort of looking for, you know, being able to leverage whatever you do and make sure that, you know, you're doing something that is impactful and meaningful. And I love the fact that you have a book. Like I said, you actually have a community. You do so much that really makes a lot of difference. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the show. So it's again, you know, Nigella, just like I said, you're like the gold standard, I think. So we're gonna close out the introductions with Sheila, who is calling in all the way from Cameroon. And Sheila was always an athlete, right? You know, we had an excellent volleyball team in boarding school, and she was a star athlete, and has continued, right? Like doing something like 600 jumping jacks a day or something. So, so Sheila, maybe, you know, just, you know, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, what you do, and what inspires you to stay, you know, motivated and committed as an athlete on this journey with us. So hopefully Sheila is still there, right? With technology, we'll always say, oh, perfect. From across the world. So you just need to unmute. You're muted. You need to unmute. Excellent. Okay. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah. So we can't hear Sheila.
She's back on it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh Lord.
So sad.
You want to try without the, so unmute Sheila and try without the earpiece. Let's see if that works. Okay, and then unmute yourself. So are you able to unmute? Okay.
Can you
hear
me?
Yeah.
So the earphones were instead making it worse.
Thank God.
Okay.
Good evening, Lambert. I am so happy to be part of your show this evening. And thank you so much, Dr. Lauren, for hosting us and letting us share our health and wellness journey to the world. Sheila, I'm Sheila Ndifo Ndiangang, and I'm a mother of two, Lenora and Azumbi. And I'm the third in a family of 10. And I think I had this love for sports from childhood. Maybe because I am the third, that is, my first two siblings are boys, and I am the third, and my two followers are boys. And so I grew up to be the tomboy in the house, and I will ride bicycle with them. when I'll play bizer, I'll play butong, all those masculine games, I'll play them. And in primary school in Bayele, I used to play dodging. One of the best dodging, one of the best dodgers, Randers, Sizo, Tabala, you can name them. And I took this to, when I went to Lords, I was an all-round girl. I used to play basketball, handball, volleyball, but I settled on volleyball. Claire, remember our days. Clarissa and myself, Bonka, Gala, we used
That
to
is
be the
true.
best volleyball players in Lords. And come to think of that, when we have to face PSS Mancon, CPC, Longla, or whatever, whichever of those schools, they start trembling. But our main target, our main obstacle, excuse me, was Senages, because each time we faced them, they would beat us. Although from time to time, once in a while we'll beat them, and trust us, we had feasting on days like that. And when I moved, I went to University of Yaoundé 1. I joined the University Volleyball Club. I played in the university team for 1 year, and I dropped because I was pregnant for my daughter. But that notwithstanding, after that, I have still continued doing my exercises, doing my sports, because like in my former school, that is GTHS Ombe, where I was just transferred from there about a few months ago. I used to play with the men, with my male colleagues. I play soccer with them, and I earned the name Eto. I earned the name Eto because I used to play 9. They used to give me t-shirt number 9. So I was Eto. And that said, I want to think that like in my family, we don't have that good gene. That is, we don't really have slim people, especially my females, the girls, and my mother. So growing up, I told my mother one day that, Staff Frank, this your size, I don't think I'll ever reach this size. She was like, okay, when you reach my age, I say, no, I'm going to start working on my weight. And that is how I started working on my weight. And I'm that person who likes to be admired. You all know now, when I'm working, I want to be admired. Yes. I just like to look good. I like to look good, and I like others to admire me. And that is why I've kept doing sports. And I want to thank my sisters in the Fat Be Gone group for encouraging me each time to continue looking good, to continue with the exercise. I don't have any health problem, but I just like to look good. And I think that's been my journey.
I love that.
Now you all know, right? Now you all know the group.
Yeah, Steve doesn't play. And you know what is so cool, Eto, is that your the real namesake is also a Nyanga man, right? You know, like he's also stylish.
Yes.
So I know you end that name not just for how you play with the men, how you play soccer, but because of your whole vibe. So
She's disappearing. You are disappearing. Come back.
but oh my gosh, Chips. Yeah, again, all very different stories. But again, you know, just so many beautiful things to take away. You know, just how you look, how you feel. And I love the fact that even from a very young, first of all, being between boys, I was the same way, right? I'm between two boys, so you start off almost like a tomboy, but also, telling your mom directly, I don't want to be this, right? I'm going to work on it, and I see this problem, and again, I'm going to take action, and I'll do it consciously because it doesn't just happen. So a lot of really cool nuggets in there, and we'll sort of come back and talk about that a little bit. But I know we also have some comments and some questions from the show, which so we really want to thank our audience. We know we have people from different parts of the world, just as we are. A women's group just for women. Yeah, sometimes it needs to be. It's not.
You're welcome if you want to.
Well, again, like
You're welcome.
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, it's so that I belong to more than one women's group, all of which inspire us in different ways. This one, we've really seen results, and we're marking a milestone, and so we wanted to share the story. But whatever group you're in, number one, if you're in a group, seek to build that trust and the support network, right? I think sometimes people are in groups, and this is something we talk about. You're in a group, but you don't really feel that you belong, or you don't feel, or people are not pushing each other. So I think people have shared how we push each other, even if it's about the clothes that you wear, even if it's about how you look. So any group can learn from us, So, more beautiful comments. So I actually know Winnie, right? So thank you, Winnie. Thank you for the congratulations. I'm glad you're listening. We're very, very happy for everybody who's listening. So thank you, answer. And there's another lesson, Sylvie. Yes, right? Sylvie, you're absolutely right. Black girl magic. So whenever queens come together to support, to encourage, to empower each other, that's our message. And when you get together with your fellow queens, make sure it's for something positive. And there's our grandson, Sister Cinta. Sister Cinta, thank you. Thanks for setting the pace. Yes.
We always do.
So, Mohammed, thank you for listening. I'm glad you find the conversation interesting. I hope you're inspired. I hope like you said, you take away from this and also inspire other people. So thank you for listening, and stay on. Right, we have many more fun stories to share. So.
Right.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Very good. So Sheila, we're going to continue with you, Eto, right? Look good and for people to admire you, which we all do.
Exactly.
Right? I love the fact that, as we shared, you were actually just transferred across the country, right? You were in the Southwest, you now moved to Yaoundé. And I think what always impressed us about you went through this in the last year, you kept up your workout routine, right? You always let us know even when you were traveling. So maybe you can share with us a little bit, two things, right? First of all, this whole part of being an athlete, because a lot of people who are athletic, after a while, they just get tired, right? You see a lot of athletes, they gain weight because they've stopped the routine, they've stopped the discipline. So tell us how that keeps you going. Tell us, like I said, how do you do 600 push-ups a day, right? I think I've only done that once in my life, and it took me a long time. So maybe tell us how you just physically do it. But even more importantly, how we as women and even men can really own up to, let me work out and take care of myself because I want to look good, I want to feel good, and I have a stake in that. So maybe just share with us a little bit, Chips. So.
Yes, generally, being an athlete, it's a habit that I formed at a much younger age. And I have moved on with it. But that doesn't mean that somebody of my age or somebody who is older than me cannot start now. It gets easier for me, though, than for somebody who wants to start now. But it's not like I'm discouraging that person. But I think it gets easier when you start at a younger age. Remember, I told you I started from childhood, and I've continued up to now. And doing the 600 jumping jacks, remember I did 800.
Correct.
Doing the 800 jumping jacks. I told myself one day that I was going to do 1,000 jumping jacks. I actually aimed at 1,000, but I couldn't do it 2 years. And so I managed and did 800. What I normally do is I sleep light. That is, I don't eat heavy at night. When I get up in the morning, I put on my sportswear and I have my warm water beside me. And then I start doing my jumping jacks. I just have that challenge that I must reach my target. But it's so unfortunate that I've never reached the 1,000. But I still hope to do so someday. Like in 20 years, I'm going to reach 1,000 someday. Okay. I don't care about the age. After 50, no problem. Yes. And as I earlier said, anybody can start at any age. It is not late. You just have to be determined. You just have to be consistent, and you have to be patient. You have to be very patient because there are so many people who want to see the result the next minute. There are some who are not consistent. Like Clarissa said, she had been trying from time to time. Each time she would drop it. She wasn't consistent. So if you are consistent, you'll be able to achieve your goal.
Thank you.
True.
I'm done.
Lauren, you're on mute.
You're on mute, honey.
Oh Lord. Oh,
Right.
always. So, but I was just saying, thank you so much, Chips, because we talk about consistency and just staying with it all the time. And I'm so glad that you highlighted that, right? And I did want to say you're actually more than Eto because I don't think he's done 1,000. I don't think he has a goal to do 1,000 jumping jacks. So I think when you get there, I love the fact that it's something you're very, very determined to do. So, so truly inspiring. So I think it's wonderful. We have a wonderful audience. We have a few more comments. Special shout out to our grand Martema, Sister Nams, right? We're glad that you're watching. We know you're, you do your works. You're part of this whole journey. So thank you for the support. Oh, and there is Terry Fomino, right? Another wellness warrior, right? So every single day doing incredible workouts and just such as the strong advocate. So wonderful, Terry. So I see you have a question. So Ships, and I think Terry is asking about the jumping jack. I will say the one day I did 600 jumping jacks. Of course, I did it at intervals. So I was in a hotel room. I couldn't do my regular workouts. I was traveling for work. And so I could only do jumping jacks, and I split them up 200 at a time. But Sheila, can you say a little bit about how you do the 800 jumping jacks? Do you do it all at once or with intervals? I think you're muted. Ships, you're muted.
I do my jumping. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Am I on? Good. I do my jumping jacks at intervals.
Okay.
Yes. And the number of jumping jacks I do, maybe 200, 250, will depend on how I got up from sleep from there.
Yeah, but I think your typical interval is about 200, right? Yes. So I think that's for most people. I have to say, when we all started, if I remember correctly, we all started with 50, right? We all said we tried to do 50 jumping jacks. We all did videos of ourselves counting to 50 jumping jacks. That's where we started, and then we went to 100, and now I think most people do intervals of 200 materials. So yeah, so excellent. All right. We have incredible audience support from our lesson sisters, but also from all of our other viewers. So guys, please stay, as you can hear some very practical advice and really fun, cool things that we're doing. Wonderful. So, Ade, I'm actually going to come back to you, our coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about diet, right? Because that's the other huge element of it. You know, again, as we say, it's holistic wellness, it's whole body wellness. It's not just about exercise. And you know, one of the things that you've always really told us about and that you've advocated is this intermittent fasting, right? And sort of really not, and that is huge, but also just the vigilance, you know, around diet and how we eat and caloric intake. So could you share with us a little bit more about intermittent fasting? It's something that, you know, you do, a bunch of people in our group do. Maybe just share with our audience what it is, right? And why it is so effective.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Dr. Lorraine, thank you. Okay, let me just start by saying that the reason I started looking at my diet very keenly was because I came to, you know, when I just started, just like everybody else, we think that you can just eat anything you want, and the next day you go exercise it off, right? So you go to the gym and you want to get on the treadmill and keep running and lifting weights and doing that, and then go out after that and eat a storm. And that is what I was doing, and it wasn't working. And I kept asking every time. After about a week, I would get on the scale, and nothing has changed. And I would look at the number of hours I spent in the gym, and I'm wondering, what am I doing wrong? Then I came to realize that this whole thing is not about exercise. It's 80% what you eat, and 20% physical exercise. So, of course, like I told you in my intro, right? I did everything. Then I would try smoothies and, you know, blending smoothies and drinking 2 times a day, and then, you know, eating a storm in the evening. Still, it wouldn't work. Then I would try another diet, and then it works for a little while, and then I get off the diet. So nothing seemed to be working for me, just because I couldn't be consistent with what I was doing. So one day, one of my neighbors, I hadn't seen her for a while, and I saw her after 6 months. Oh my God, she had lost so much weight. You know, I couldn't wait to find out what she had done to lose that amount of weight. And she told me she was on a keto diet. That was my first time to hear about a keto diet. So, you know, but for me, when I hear about something that is new, I never jump to it. I go and I do my own research. So, hey, keto diet, it was at that time. So I came, did my research, started on the keto diet, did it for 3 months, lost a good amount of weight, and then I was out again. I couldn't stay on the keto diet. It was just not a diet I could stick to, but I can tell you that it works, and it truly, for those who can stick to the keto diet, it really works. So I said, okay, we are here again. I've started something, it's worked for a while, and now I can't stick to it again. What else can I do? In doing my research on the keto diet, that was also when I came across intermittent fasting. So I went back to look at the intermittent fasting. And, you know, I realized that there were several ways you could do the intermittent fasting. Of course, coming from the background, you know, we'll grow up and, you know, everybody will clap when you clear your plate and say, this child eats well and she's not going to get, you know, my mom would fill up your plate, and if you finish your food, then you were the best child that day, because her belief was that eating well to her means eating large plates of food, right? Not like eating the right food, but eating large plates of food. So coming from that mindset of 3 square meals a day to think of going without food for an extended amount of time, you know, I had to debate with that. So when I had a debate with myself. So when I started the first 2 weeks, I looked at the different types of intermittent fasting, right? There's the 16-8, which means you fast for 16 hours and then you eat. You have an 8-hour window to eat. And then there's a 20, some people do 18-6, which means you fast for 18 hours and eat in a 6-hour window, or 24, the one that people call the warrior diet, 24. That's you fast for 20 hours and then you have a 4-hour window to eat. So I tried all 3 of them, and the one that stuck with me was the 16-8. I realized that I could go easily for 16 hours without eating, because I kept telling myself, if people can, you know, fast for religious reasons and go days without eating and they are okay. So I think 16 hours I had to keep telling myself that. And before I knew it, I have gone almost 2 years now on the 16-8, 18-6. and it really works for me. Believe you me, every day I wake up, I'm not looking up to breakfast. I try my best to eat my last meal at 8 o'clock, and then I eat my first meal of the day at between 1 and 2 o'clock. Sometimes I'm able to push it up to 3 o'clock, and I'm fine. So long as I'm hydrating, I'm fine. I go for an 8-hour walk every day, come back, and I'm able to stay on water the whole time until I eat at 1 o'clock. And then I try to eat my last meal at 8 o'clock. And it has worked for me. In fact, that's the only thing I've been able to stick on for 2 years now. I can tell you, it works, really. And you know, everything is going to be different for everybody. Some people would never think of skipping a meal. And that's why when I started, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to, oh, you're starving yourself. How can you be starving yourself because you want to lose weight? So I didn't want to hear any of that. I just wanted to try it and see if it works. And come to think of it, when it worked for me and I started telling people, there were people who came to me back like with that, right? Like, you're starving, you can't be starving. I said, no, going without eating for 16 hours is not starving. It's not starving. I'm just fasting. So I give myself, I'm giving my system the chance to digest what I've eaten and to use the energy I have stored. That's all that it is. So if you want to try it, please do not start with the warrior one, the 20-hour, 4 hours one. Start with the 16. If anybody listening wants to try it, try the 16-8. It's because majority of the time you're sleeping, right? From 8 o'clock, if you wake up at 5 o'clock, you're sleeping. So you only have from about 5 till 1 o'clock to deal with the hunger. And once you train your system to deal with that hunger, believe you me, you don't get hungry. It has worked wonder for me. I haven't eaten breakfast in almost 2 years. My first meal every day is at 1 o'clock. And then I exercise 6 days a week, and I don't exercise on Sunday. Sunday, I do the 1 meal a day. So I just fast the whole day and I eat dinner. And that is what has kept me going. And every time that I think I want to fall off from any of these, I just look at what my sisters are doing, right? Because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing you guys will not believe this, I'm addicted. Believe you me. When I wake up first thing in the morning, I check my phone. So my Cameroonian sisters, please keep posting, okay? If I keep posting, once I see that somebody has posted, even if I wanted to go back to sleep, I wake up, put on my exercise clothes, and off I go. Because my favorite exercise is walking. I injured my ankle in 2000. It was a bad accident. My foot completely separated from my leg, and it took me almost a year to get off crutches. So my ankle, there are certain exercises, you see people talking about jumping jacks and all of that. There are certain, I try my best, but I can't do a lot of them. But walking is what I do. I can walk for hours. When I realized that I could walk on that, and over the years, as I'm walking on the ankle, it's getting better. It doesn't swell up again as it used to, and it's getting better with years. I go for 10, like Dr. Lauren said, I go for 10 miles on Saturdays. I call it my 10-mile Saturday. Every Saturday I wake up, I go for a 10-mile walk. And, like I went today for my 10-mile before we started this, and I haven't eaten. It's 1 o'clock and I'm not hungry. So,
Wow.
yeah.
You know what? And Ade, I love the fact that, you started off with saying everybody's metabolism is different, because I know, people always cite, as always, especially with diet, there's this whole element of diet and food that is personal and emotional. So people always automatically, the response, oh, well, that's not me.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that, you really wanted to prove it before sharing. And, and there's a lot of science actually behind intermittent fasting. Right? This is not a fad. There's a lot of science. It makes sense. You put it so well, like a biochemist, right? Your body, depending on your metabolism, your body needs time to digest food. And for some people, it's very quick. That's why people who eat and they burn it up right away. And for some people, if it's not, if you're one of those people who have a slow metabolism, just genetically, right? Then your body needs time to digest food. So thank you for being so open about it. Very prescriptive, very clear to people. There's a ton of research about it. There's a lot of evidence. I also love the fact that you brought up the point that you train your body, right? We use that word a lot because people go, oh, I cannot do this, right? Like we all said, I thought I couldn't do push-ups. I thought I couldn't do jumping jacks. So you can train your body, right, to drink water. A lot of people don't drink water. Now we all do. So just some really practical things. So we have some questions for you, as I imagined, and we're going to start with Joyce, right? So how much do you eat? After you be fasting, how do you break your fast? Is it sarika? Do you like eat?
So here is the thing, though. When you have trained your system not to eat not to eat too often, right? When you start eating, especially if you do not eat a lot of carbohydrate, like I forgot to mention the fact that I try to eat a low carb diet. I eat a little bit more fat and protein than carbohydrate. So I reduced that. I didn't completely, when I did the keto diet for 3 months, I completely did not eat any carbohydrate for 3 months. Yes, I did not. I didn't eat a single carbohydrate for 3 months. It's difficult. I'm not gonna lie, especially when you are in a household and not everybody is doing it right. It's difficult. Even when you tell yourself, "I'm not going to eat that puff puff," and then you go to your room and you close the door, but the smell doesn't care. The smell just comes all over the house while they are frying that puff puff, and you know in your downstairs, right? So during that 3 months, what I would do is, if they are frying the puff puff, I would leave the house and go for a short walk. So by the time I come back, the puff puff is gone from the kitchen and everything is gone. And I have my water with me with some lemon or apple cider vinegar in it. And I'm sipping it so that when I come back, I go to the refrigerator, I pull out my salad, I say, whatever is over there, I'm not going to look. I just pull over my salad and I eat. So that was my own way of dealing with it. So I still, because I had trained myself not to eat too much, I was able to keep my calorie count really low at that time. Even up till now, I'm still able to not eat a lot. There are days, though, that when I go for long walks and I come back, I am really hungry, and I have to add a little bit more carb into what I'm eating that day, because my system is just asking for it, because I've burned a lot of, especially when I go to my happy place that you guys knew. There's pool right next to me, and I climb. You see, I always post pictures of me climbing those steps. It's 20 of them. So I do sometimes, I go up and down, sometimes 40 times. And those days I get really hungry. Nigella, so I'm amazed that I'm able to do that myself, especially with the ankle. But with that, like I said before, with practice, becoming easier and easier and easier. Sometimes I don't even remember that I'm climbing. Right. Unlike before, when I go the first time, I come down and, oh my God, I'm about to die now. But now I go and come back and I'm like, did I even go anywhere?
Wow.
It's becoming easier with time. So that, again, to answer Alicia's question, please, even when you are intermittent fasting, when you eat, try to keep your calorie count to what it is. Like if you are on a 2,000 calorie diet, try to eat that. Don't go and eat, a storm because you have fasted and then think that it's going to, it will not work.
Yeah, and I think added to your point about training your mind, after a while, even psychologically, you get comfortable with eating a certain portion size, right?
Yes.
So you don't feel like, that's why I love the fact that it's fasting and not starving, because you actually think if you're not eating, you're starving yourself, therefore you have to make up for it.
That's right.
So absolutely, and as you see, what Kwame said, right? Fasting is one of the best ways to lose weight. And all it is that, he captured it perfectly, so it gives your body time to die, especially if you have a slow metabolism. In all fairness, we all know people who can eat whatever, and their body, and you just have to be realistic about who you are. The other thing I wanted to add, and we go to Dr. Nigella to talk a little bit about caloric intake, is that it's possible to fall off, right? Where on a particular day for an emotional, or even just you're super hungry, you take too much. Don't beat yourself up, right? Just plan now to make sure you walk it up. Because the reason why most people fall, I think Dr. Claire used the word a dropper, and the statistics show that the overwhelming majority of people backslide, right? And they fall. If you make one mistake, you beat yourself up, and then you're now off the wagon. So if for whatever reason you come back and that particular day you overload on carbs or whatever, just say it's done for today. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up and I'll continue and I'll go better. So again, Alicia, thank you that the advice was good. And again, Ada is just a wealth of information, but most importantly, she actually lives it and does it every day.
Lauren, please, can you give a quick shout out to my mentor, Gerard? he just said, he said something really nice right now. He said something like, yeah. So
Oh,
that is my oracle mentor. Please just give him a yeah.
Janet, we're so glad you're watching. I didn't give you a shout out already, but I'm also going to give you another one on behalf of all pace setters everywhere, and especially us here. So thank you for mentoring our sister, right? And thank you for supporting us. And as you can see, we call her coach, right? Because she gets it done and she sets the standard. So thank you. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Laurie.
Yeah, super. Especially on a Saturday, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So Dr. Najila, we're going to transition to you, and just to continue to build on what Ade talked about, right, with the diet and caloric intake. So I know with the Najila Transformation Sanctuary, clean eating, caloric, really, ensuring that we have caloric balance and portion sizes. Some of these really practical things about food and diet that people may either not know or just take for granted. So maybe you can share with us a little bit, just all the elements of your program. I think Ade also talked about the fact that if you're in a household where you're the only person trying to live a healthy lifestyle, it's challenging. So again, going back to this idea of the people that you're around and who you surround yourself with. So do you want to talk about that a little bit more as well, Najila?
Sure. Oh, thank you. This is food to my soul here. So Ade, thank you for eloquently explaining what has worked for you and what is working for a lot of people. Because yes, I believe in intermittent fasting as well, and but more importantly, the caloric intake, which is what you mentioned and hinted on, is really critical. Shout out to Gerald as well. I was watching all your 25 push-ups every day. You're my brother's namesake, so shout out. And shout out to all the others online, all of the NTS members. It really works. My husband working out behind, going back and forth. That's the house I live in. Everybody's sweating. But anyway, so yes, understanding, my story really emanated from the fact that I used to be a big eater. I'm a twin. I'm a twin sister. I'm a mother of twins. And my sister has always been the slim, trim one who, could eat whatever she wanted. But she was always the one who was, tender and sickly, when we were in Lords. And so I used to sit down on the table and my dad would be like, I'd rather not buy medicines for you, like I buy for your sister. I'd rather you eat. So I know when I was growing up, I used to, just like Ade said, emptying your plate was like the fantastic thing to do, making sure you were not wasteful, and eating well. So I used to be Humpty Dumpty when I was younger. That's how, and my dad used to praise me, how I was a healthy child, and gosh, I lived for my meals. But the one thing I did not know were that those meals had numbers. Right. So when I actually started my weight loss journey about, I would say maybe 20 years now. So after my daughters, I was never really big after I gave birth to my twins. But when my son came, I just skyrocketed to like 200 was my worst. I'm 5'6". And so I explained everything to my doctors. I told them it was the pills, let's be transparent here. I gave every excuse in the world. And my doctor said, well, I've heard every excuse. I've not heard of that one. 110-pound, 5'4" lady, perfect shape, telling me that. And so I came home and I said, I actually told my husband, Kenneth, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what she said, because I was fuming. And he said, oh, well, he just sat quiet. And that was the biggest message. And I went back and I said, I will look at the food that we love to eat, and I'll figure out how much I need to eat to lose this weight. And that's how my journey of understanding caloric content started. That's how my journey of understanding how much you need to eat to sustain your health, your metabolism, because there are different types of metabolic pathways that are occurring in our body. So you have the thermic effect, which is your body burning the calories that you're eating. So you need to eat for your body to continue burning. okay? But you need to eat the correct amount. So that's where we get to the basal metabolic rate. So based on your height, your personal age, your metabolism, your age, we can get an estimate of what your basal metabolic rate is, which is how much your body burns, even when you're sleeping or when you're at rest. So that number usually, for example, I am almost 50 years old. I'm at about 148 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I'm 5'6.5". So my basal metabolic rate, when you calculate it, which is a number it's a formula you can use. There are many places online you can check for that. Tells me I cannot eat more than 1,300 calories a day. Now, if I eat 1,300 calories, I will maintain my weight. If my metabolism is optimal, again, that's another thing. As we go older, as we get older, our metabolism slows down. So you need to do other things to get your metabolism to what we call trick your metabolism. And that's where things like intermittent fasting and the 1 meal a day, all those things can come into play, because it tricks your metabolism to think, oh my God, something else is happening. But here is my mantra. When you throw those things in, because they are so, a day is a special break, because they are so unsustainable to the majority of people, you want to mix it up. Okay, so that has been the trick. You mix it up week over week. Tell your body, I'm doing something different, but I am maintaining that caloric content, because if you slow down your metabolism by eating less, your body goes into a starvation mode, and your body goes to a slow mode, like a car without gas, right? And it stores everything that it can, and that's when you gain weight. So it's really crucial to fuel your body, increase that thermic metabolism, also increase your basal metabolic rate, which slows down as you age. And why? How do you do that? You need to understand what our meals are. You need to keep a sustainable diet. So learn our meals. I have a book called The Taste of Africa, and I'll send the link here in a minute. You can get a copy of that. It tells you how much achu you can eat, how much ndole you can eat. First of all, calculate your basal metabolic rate. Look at those meals. For most Africans, most Cameroonians, by the time you eat one major Cameroonian meal a day, you have probably put, the way we eat it, right? I'm talking, think about your achu, with your achu soup and some, all those particulars, and then jama on the side and some mushrooms. By the time you have a nice plate, Claire actually shared a bowl of that yesterday on our forum. I almost killed her. But by the time you finish,
Angela, you're looking out there like that.
She didn't finish it. By the time we finish that plate, you have piled up 800 calories. Okay, so if you're someone like me who has a BMR of 1,300 calories, you have very little less to eat. So what I would say is break it up into pieces. Don't deprive yourself. Okay, break it up into pieces and eat those bits. Now, what I suggest, and this has worked for me and for my group, is if you're not throw in an intermittent fast once or twice a week, right? Throw that in and really keep to it. Have a good breakfast whenever your breakfast is. There's some people who work nights. So have a good breakfast that would get you pumping, right? A high protein breakfast or a nice protein shake, anything that's when you burn. If you're a morning person, there's some people, as I said, people's programs vary. But if you start your day in the morning, you can get that going with something that's about 400 calories. Again, learn about our calorie sizes. If you think about your palm, the palm of your hands, for anything, that palm is usually about 100 calories, right? So if you have fufu, a cell phone, an Apple 8 phone size of fufu is about 150 to 200 calories. But keep in mind that is white carbohydrate, right? So it's been processed. So, think of better options that are higher in fiber that would help you burn it out, right? So always have all those nutritional things that we have heard in our minds. People go for cauliflower fufu and all those other things. Now, eat what you like, but eat a bit of it, okay? And learn about these calorie sizes. Now, don't dwell too much on numbers.
Exactly. That's what
Dwell on the sizes, right? So think about a plate, right? Think about a regular size plate, break it into 4, right? And have your vegetables to fill half the plate. Of course, vegetables, I mean, nicely, not overfueled vegetables with too much oil and all of that, right? So not the arrow that is in the market where they actually put the arrow and then they pour oil over. No, that kills it. Your nice vegetables, stir-fried vegetables that you make with your fish, and so it should have half your plate. Your proteins, which are your lean proteins, should take a quarter of the plate, and your high fibrous carbohydrates should take a quarter of your plate. Okay, so that's a typical meal that's about 500 to 600 calories. If you have that one a day, and then you can have a light breakfast and a light dinner. I typically stay away from the starchy carbohydrates after 1 o'clock. So most of the time for dinner, I would have like a bowl of okra soup with fish, a bowl of pepper soup. I would have a yogurt. I would have, things like, even if I have to throw in a little bit of carbohydrates, it will be coming from things like beans or from, maybe some plain granola or from egusi. And then I also snack with things like, sprouted almonds. But just keep in mind, 12 of those almonds would give you all the omega fatty acids that you need. You don't need to eat 20 of them. You don't need to eat 40 of them. Sprout them, because as you sprout them, you start getting more of that probiotic content in them. So there is just a lot in our meals that you can modify to get that metabolism going. And as we age, just keep in mind that your metabolism is slowing down. You have to do things to boost it up. So every week, throw in a curveball, throw in an intermittent fast, throw in a 1 meal a day, throw in whatever Atkins or all of them are good. They're just not sustainable, like I said, right? Some people do the what do you call it? The Dukan attack phase, where you're eating just proteins, but don't do it continuously, because you will not sustain it. And if you stop it, the weight comes back double.
Oh yeah, comes back with a vengeance.
If there's anything you've heard from me now, is trick your metabolism with how many calories you eat, your portion sizes. Make sure you know your basal metabolic rate. Make sure you know that you have to keep that thermic effect going by eating. Don't slow down your metabolism by not eating. I hope I've captured most of how this works. But
it's almost like I'm glad the link to your book is there. So you already did the first lecture, and people can continue reading the book. But there's just so many precious things that you talked about, right? And I love the fact that you always brought it back to portion size. There is no getting around that, right? It always scares me a little bit when people walk out a lot and then you see a plate of food and you're like, oh my gosh, if you only knew what you're doing, right? You're like literally killing yourself. So I think portion. Naturally I've never liked large portions, just the way I eat. There's some people who don't, right? I'm more of a snacker. You eat little portions many times, right? But if you're someone who has always historically liked large portions, just train yourself. Like Nas said, I love the fact that you're very prescriptive around what your plate should look like. And you cannot do it in one day, right? Gradually, there's all kinds of ways that you begin to reduce the size of your fufu corn, the size of your rice. And after a while, like having a small portion doesn't psychologically mess you up, right? You get used to it. So portion size is so important. I love the fact that, Nigella said, food has numbers, but don't be too obsessed with the numbers. So we're going to take some questions. But one of the other things I wanted to add was, because we talked about vegetables. And what I've seen is sometimes people, because again, there's this emotional component of food. Because there's this emotional component of food, we always think, oh my gosh, I either have to eat it the way I've always eaten it, or I don't want to change too much. So people take say like minced cauliflower. Trust me, once you process vegetables, then you're increasing the caloric content, right? Because fruits and vegetables are healthy because your body cannot digest them. Once you now make it in a way that your body can digest it, it's not the same. So just because you have spinach or you have cauliflower or you have some vegetable and it looks different from the way it is now, so just be aware. Again, the portion size, the vegetables, stay away from processed carbs. Again, a lot of things. Najila did the lecture far better than I ever could. Get the book. Trick your body. Again, I love that scientific approach of trick your body, throw in a curveball. So just some really cool things. So we're gonna go ahead and take some questions, and we actually have Dr. Azimi, who is a Pacesetter brother, with a very and Azimi is also my baby sister's name. That is a very special name, right? It means the heart of God, which is a beautiful thing. So now could there be an argument for? I think I almost answered this question, but we can talk about this for fresh versus processed foods in this context. I'll take a stab and Najala can finish. As I mentioned, I'm a food chemist, I'm a food scientist. And, fresh foods are better because our bodies as humans, we do not have a lot of enzymes to digest vegetables, right? We're not goats or cows, right? We don't have the long stomach with the enzymes they have to digest grass. So that's why salads are good, because there's a huge part of salad we cannot digest. But if you mince the products, you're breaking down those walls and you're breaking down a lot of those cell walls. You're breaking down a lot of those things that your body cannot. And so if you're eating it, like I said, caloric content is available everywhere today, right? Go on the internet. The caloric content of fresh vegetable, fresh cauliflower versus a processed cauliflower is almost 3 times, right? So always look for the fresh food. And when you cannot, right, food also has to taste good. You like it. It's emotional. If on a day you feel like eating processed food, just be aware that it's not a substitute for fresh food, and you cannot eat the same portion size, and you have to be aware of that. So, Dr. Nigella, did you want to input on that as well?
Yes, I definitely, processed food has been gone from my vocabulary, gone from, NTS. We just, anything that has more than 10 ingredients on the label, we don't touch, right? So Dr. Lorraine has explained exactly why we shouldn't touch it. I mean, once in a while, I mean, if you're compromised to the point where you cannot have fresh, then but it's really not advisable. So please go for things that are colorful. So that's the one easier way to look at it. Anything that has color is full of more nutrients and all the carotenes and all of the good things that you need. So make your food colorful. That's why I tend to say, if you have a plate that is white and brown, it's probably not very healthy. But a plate that has purples and greens and yellows and, well, not, it's much better for you. So think about size and color. Think about visuals when you're eating. That's really what, don't go to the middle of the grocery stores if we're talking about the Western context. Feed from farmers markets, right? Go to the sites where you have the fresh foods. And really look at those labels. They're sneaking all kinds of things. Anything that's processed. That's why I don't even do like decaffeinated coffee. I'm a chemist. I know how we extract things to make them processable.
She's giving us the industry secrets right now. So,
go natural. I say eat like our ancestors did,
Yes, absolutely. And again, to Dr. Azini's question, make sure that you're not, because we rationalize, right? Well, as humans, our brains are so smart. We go, I'm eating spinach, but then I've ground the spinach or I've chopped it. As you process, the more you process it, the more caloric it becomes, right? So be very careful. And I see we have a question from, so Najila, I also love, before we take Norbert's question, I love the fact that you talked about shopping around the periphery of the store, right? Which means shopping the fresh food section. And all of that. So we have a question around, when to eat late or when to exercise, especially with the crazy schedules people have. People work different hours. So, I know in our group, people work out at all kinds of different times, but, what are the suggestions around what time to eat, the latest time to eat before going to bed? I think, Ado, you talked about that a little bit with the intermittent fasting. So maybe you could just say a little bit about that, and then also you, Najila.
Okay, for me, after doing all the reading that I did, I saw that the best time for you to eat to eat is about 2 hours before you go to bed, right? So if you're going to go to bed at Najela, correct me if I'm wrong, though.
You're right.
That is, if you have to go to bed at 10, just make sure that by 8 o'clock you are done eating. And if you have to go to bed at 8, then it should be 6 o'clock. So that is what I do. I just try my best to, because I always go to bed around 10. I always make sure that by 8 o'clock I'm done eating. And also so that it gives enough time to fast long enough for me to be able to eat around 1 o'clock or 2 the next day.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is
Because
correct.
of the intermittent fasting. Yeah.
That is correct. I typically suggest 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed.
Mhm.
So you go to bed light, and you guys, I think you can imagine, those two hormones that Lauren, correct me, I think it's ghrelin and leptin. Those
Correct.
two hormones that are, interchangeably working on your satiety and your hunger. So if you eat too late at night, you go to bed, and I think ghrelin is upregulated, or leptin, one of the two. Sorry, I mean mixed. The one that makes you hungry, you wake up in the morning and you really want to eat.
Correct.
Exactly.
So because what you have done is that I think it's leptin has actually been upregulated, and it makes you want to eat.
Very hungry.
The less you eat before you go to bed, the more time you have before you go to bed, and sleep properly.
Yeah.
You get your 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You wake up in the morning, you don't feel as hungry.
Absolutely. And it's even with insulin, right? Once you spike it, once you tease it, and that's why a lot of times people eat a little and then all of a sudden they're a lot more hungry because now you've kind of upregulated, right? So a ton of science in there. And there's a message from Ma Floracom, right? She doesn't eat at night. So thanks to thanks to to Nigela's transformational sanctuary. Okay. Norbert, the sedentary, okay, a lot of the crazy lifestyle. With 5'7", okay, which is good. The work schedule makes it a little challenge, and I think that's what it is for a lot of people. I think for most of us, a lot of travel, being on planes for 14 hours, flying to Asia, for me, it's just very difficult to exercise. That's how I ended up doing jumping jacks in a hotel room, right? You travel and your schedule is completely out of whack. You have to figure out ways to have structure, and like we all said, when you have your friends, when you wake up in the morning and you check your phone and somebody has already walked 10 miles in the morning, whatever work meeting you have that day, you're thinking about, okay, how do I do something for myself? So we thank Beatrice for watching from Houston, right? I'm sure that's the lots of really great feedback. So thank you. So thank you, Norbert. Thank you all for watching and supporting, and I love the interaction. When will this come on? Already? You want us to come back? Okay. Okay, Aloysius, we're going to be back. We have a lot more to share.
Yes, Aloysius, you can join the group if you want.
Right?
You are very welcome. You can join the group. We will motivate you to the top of the mountain, so you can come.
I know. We'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So just really, really lots of cool stuff. So we're actually going to transition to Car, right? I'm still kind of staying on diet. But as I said at the beginning, I really love Car's approach because, obviously, Nigella gave us really great scientific and technical information and really the basis of this. And one of the things she said is really making sure you have a colorful plate, right? And I think the other day I saw Car had fried beets, right? She had done beets in an air fryer, right? So sugar beets. I know a lot of people high in fiber. They have a lot of antioxidants, and she had done them in an air fryer, so they were beet chips, right, homemade. So again, just really creative ways of doing dietary change, making exercise fun, and really about it being your lifestyle, where you don't feel like it's medicine or you're doing it for somebody, but you're just looking at how can I transform. That's why we call it a lifestyle transformation. How can I make my life fun and healthy? So, Ka, did you want to just talk a little bit about that, both your dietary approaches, also the alphabet exercise that you did, the videos that you post that a lot of us, your fans, love looking at, so.
Thank you, Lorraine, again. Thank you. No, Nanta. Hello?
No.
Yeah, we
can hear you.
Is it me or can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can.
Thank you, Lorraine, again. Thank you, family, my motivators, all of you in there. With me, to be honest, I'm somebody who hates restriction. And I think that's been my biggest issue. I don't like any say I will not eat this or I will not eat that. Or I'm going to be strictly doing this exercise. So that's why I do it the way I am doing it. And based on the fact that I am also working, my working pattern is so all over the place. So I don't have a routine, I would say. So I tend to kind of just want to put things into it and come and kind of just do it the way my life goes. So starting with the dietary change, I picked up a lot of things from my friends, my classmates, my motivators, I call them, because there was a lot of food. We displayed a lot of food. From there, I've learned how to eat healthily. I've, like Nigella says about the colors on your plate, I've gone into that for quite a lot. I've kind of reduced my sugar. I used to be a chocoholic, I'll call myself. And now I've gone for 3 months now with with no sugar. As I say, no sugar. I've gone on, I mean, refined sugar, I will say, because I do everything now natural. I just get the fruits and do whatever I want to do if I need any sugar. Hence the reason why I did the beetroot crisp the other day. So anything that comes, I just think about it. I go ahead and do it then. With regards to the fun exercise, I thought life is about your mindset. To be honest, you need to change. Sometimes we need to change how we think, what we want to do in the world, and how you what you want to do. And it's all about you tweaking that mindset of yours, and you do what you want to do. And the reason why I started this exercise, where I said, if you have these ideas and you put any action or anything, you will come up with an outcome. So the whole exercise was just showing using ABC to bring words out there that denotes you have an idea. It could be maybe you want your wellness, you want to your career, you want to motivate others, anything that you think of. You can use the ABC. I use the ABC words to kind of just uh, demonstrate this. For example, the A words were you surely have an ambition maybe to lose weight, you have an ambition to achieve this career you want. Let's keep it on wellness or for now. And so you obviously have to put an action to that. And what you will get is achievement, you accomplish your goal. So I went in that way in all the alphabets. There was a B, there were B, like you believe in yourself, go beyond, and you get a benefit. So it went on. The C was be consistent, committed, and have some contentment. So it went on like that, and it did help me to. And then I kind of use any exercise in the day. There was those papandos, there is there was dancing, there was jumping jacks, press ups, planking. I used, and I said, if I do it that way, it gives me something to do every day, and it makes it fun. So that was my way of doing it. And now I'm thinking of what next? What's the next one I want to do? And I've got it already, but it will be, so stay tuned. It will be coming on soon.
All right. So Kai, you always keep on
whatever.
right? So and I love the fact that yes, I love the fact that like you said, it has to be conscious, right? It has to start in your mind. Because a lot of times people almost separate physical activity and physical exercise from who they are as people, right? So I love your alphabet exercise. I know when I did push-ups, what motivated me was it was more of a mental barrier versus do I want to fail on camera, right? So I always tell people I was always more anxious about the fact that it's on video versus just doing it because I wanted to look perfect. So that's part of the whole idea about it being in your mind. You know, you have to really get your mind to think about it consciously, which a lot of times people sort of take for granted, right? You know, I always say if you're going to work out, you really have to, first of all, set your plan, set your strategy, really think about it. What's my goal? And not just back into it. And I think that's what we all help each other do. So I love this idea. It's starting from your mind. It's a mindset change. You think about it consciously every day. Some days, you know, I think you started with you just want 3 words, but I think by the time you got to Z, you were having 8 words.
There were tons of words, and like it was in my head every day. I had to think about it. I have to think, oh my God, what word now is going to be to say this is an idea, and then this is the input you have to do, and then this is the outcome. So I was always in that mindset of thinking. I had to think. Then it came to the, I think the worst word was the X word, and I'm thinking, what would I use? So I went for X factor, X-ray, whatever you are doing, and then come up with it was a bit hard. But anyway, I got through it.
You have to post it, right? So it's not like you can just get up and say, I'm not going to do it. You're like, okay, I have to do it. So,
and like I say, it's not. I hate to say one size fits all because everything we say here, it's different for everybody. So I'll advise everybody to do their own thing and see what works for them. And because I find that whenever I say I want to diet, I don't do it. In the next 2 days, I'm eating what I'm not supposed to be eating, or I'm not doing that exercise that I was supposed to be doing. So now I do exercise anywhere, even at work. They know me. I go for a walk at work. I tell them it's that moment. So my hospital's got a long corridor. I call it the hospital street. So I say I'm going to the hospital street for a walk. So
well, I thought that there was a Sunday you actually did your exercise. I think it was push-ups or something in your dress, right? After church, you were in this beautiful style dress and
dancing. Yeah, I thought dancing is also an exercise. So I'm not going to restrict myself to wear this whatever. So I'm just going to dance and make myself feel happy. So I danced, although I kept it 1 minute because with the videos I had to keep it 1 minute just to upload it. So but I think after that I carry on doing what I had to do.
I love it. I mean, I love the fact that you integrate it into your lifestyle, right? I know the air fryer, you know, I know we joked about the beetroot chips, but the air fryer was also something that we started on the group, right? Like a couple of people got air fryers, and then we all now have air fryers, and it's very healthy. So that's another thing. Not pushing any product, but if you can stay away from deep fried foods, there are no healthy deep fried foods. I know if you have to eat a deep fried food, you can, but just be aware. It's not very healthy, so you have to compensate, right? So transition from deep fry to an air fryer to healthy ways of cooking. We all do air frying now, and
I air fry my plantains.
It does work. It does work.
It's good, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really helped me reduce oil, the consumption of oil. Everything I do, fry fish in my air fryer. I do everything. The chicken now, I do my roast chicken and everything in that air fryer.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and it looks fabulous. The pictures I see. So I think Flora says, "I feel you, Car, with your work routine," right? So it's always wonderful when people can relate because that's impact, right? Impact is when you do things that people can relate to and can identify and do. That's our goal, right? To co-motivate and inspire other people. So Marita Kusi, thank you for the feedback. Thank you. We're glad you're finding value in this. So thank you for appreciating us. It means a lot. So, wonderful. Okay. So speaking of more variety, we're going to transition to Dr. Claire. As I shared, Claire owns a gym, right? And but one of the things she does is all kinds. Like she said, she's an outdoor person. So every day we're also looking for, okay, what is she doing today? Is it biking? Not to talk about the dancing, right? She does dancing. So Claire, maybe we can talk a little bit. Claire, you also work out at different hours of the day, right? Because I think someone has pointed out that if you have a crazy work schedule, you call it the nighttime crew. Sometimes you do the nighttime, sometimes you do the morning. So maybe just share with us how you're getting this variety of exercises, doing something different, throwing a curveball, as Najela calls it, working out at different times of the day and losing weight, right? So maybe tell us about it.
Right. So, by the way, I'm really excited, and I'm also learning a lot just on this forum. And again, the having that community of friends, that Pacesetter Fat Be Gone, to me was a game changer. I have to really stress on that.
Yep.
Because just having that community of people I call my sisters, that we've been together from even before we were teenagers, and we've stayed true to ourselves. To me, it has kept me accountable, and I don't know, as far as the exercises, I say I am what Ade calls the kitchen sink. It depends on what I get up that day and how I feel. I'll do a little bit of I can do a little bit of, today I can say this is my bike day, depending on how I felt that day. Or if I want to do jumping jacks first, and then I'll go into some kind of kukua. Thanks again to Ade and Lorraine about the kukua workout group. So I just throw in a little bit, and then I do jogging some days. And part of it is because I get bored. If I do the same thing every day, I am that kind of person, I'll get bored. And I know, me being a dropper, I may start. So I don't want to get to that point. I'm feeling so good right now. I dread going back to where I've been. So I have to kind of do that. And it's really amazing. It's a feel-good experience, really. So when I get up in the morning and I see all your postings and what you're doing, and Ade has sent her alarm clock, I'm like, okay, what we're doing. So even if that morning I can't get to it, I know when I come home, I'm doing something. So part of my challenge also used to be the, sometimes, because as you all know, I've traveled in and out, spend part of my time in Cameroon and part here. So before, my problem was when I go home, it interrupts my routine. But now, thankful to Hotel St. Clair, my husband and I own the Hotel St. Clair, and there's a very beautiful gym. So if you're out there, don't worry about not doing your workouts. You can go to Hotel St. Clair gym and you're totally covered. You got your personal coaches. If you want to do weight lifts, whatever you want to do, you can get that covered. They have a beautiful pool that if you love swimming, that is covered too. So I do a lot of that. And then depending on what time of the day I'm working, I could either do it in the morning. As you all know, sometimes I'll be a morning person or I'll be an evening person. So, but I make sure I try to do something. I'm either riding a bike that day or, just whatever. I got to do something. The kitchen sink is who I call. And the key for me is be intentional about what you want to do. That has been my greatest motivation. I have decided to be intentional about these health goals now. So you have to be intentional about it. That way you remind yourself, no matter how your day is, no matter how packed or how committed you are to your 24-hour day, be intentional and you're going to make way to get it done. So that's what I've been doing. As far as my food, I have to also thank the intermittent fasting, because that's one aspect I've added. Like they say, it is to eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art which you must make a habit. And I think that's what I have finally gotten down pat. Thanks again to my Pacesetter sisters in-house, who the chemists and all of them who have fed us with all this information. Because right, like all of them have said, when we eat, and as I've learned, when we eat, what happens? You're eating to basically replenish your body, right? Najela has explained your BMR, all the processes that happens in our body for us to be able to do all the things we do. So we eat to be able to replenish the energy that we use for all those things. So if we're eating, so what we're eating, and then it goes to our glucogen storage. So that energy is being used. But what happens is when we overeat, like I used to overeat, I want to eat some rice and stew. I'll put a plate of rice and then just put the stew over. That's what most of us used to do. So what's happening is we're overeating. So that excess food now goes to your fat storage. Now, if you think about your fat storage as your freezers and your glucogen storage as your refrigerators. So the thing is, you don't want to go to your freezers. You don't want things to be going to your fat storage. So because when you overeat, now you stimulate insulin production that converts now that excess to stored as fat. And that's what you don't want. So basically just eat to replenish. Don't overeat. So that's what I've really tried to do along with the exercises. I'm doing the 16-8. So I'm doing 16 hours fasting and 8 hours that I can eat. So my first meal of the day is at 1 o'clock every day. And my last meal, I try to get it in at 9 p.m. And I don't go to bed before 11 normally. So that works out for me. Now, when I get up in the morning, I don't feel like eating breakfast. Breakfast is like, I'm like, what's that?
Exactly.
So I don't feel it. And then, the good thing is your tummy also goes smaller because I realize when I eat a small portion now, I'm full.
Yes, exactly.
Before, I would eat and I would eat and I would eat. And even when I'm full, I still felt like I needed to eat. But the key is just be intentional about it. And, my husband is looking at me now like, oh my goodness, I need to get on board this thing that you're doing. So I'm looking forward to him getting on it with me. I'm looking forward to, everybody who really wants to make a change, just be intentional. Just tell yourself, like I said, be intentional about it. And then surround yourself with a group of friends that you trust, that you know, that you feel like you're committed to, you feel like you belong. And that alone is enough motivation for you to accomplish the goals that you want. Because I tell you, these girls on this screen and those that are not here, they keep you accountable. You get up in the morning, your phone is going off. It's like, what are you doing? So I am the kitchen sink. I am intentional about my healthy goals right now, and I intend to keep it that way. So, so my advice is to everybody who's watching and wants to have that healthy goal, be intentional. Like I said, no matter where you're going, just figure out a way to incorporate it. And if you happen to be going to Cameroon, please, you're in the Southwest, go to Hotel St. Clair. You will have everything you need to get you your workout routines, or if it's swimming, whatever you need to do, just go there and you will be well taken care of.
All right. And we actually have Lee from Houston. Wow. So the Houston crew is here to support. All right. So this is so cool. And I think we had was it Norbert who had said he enjoys the breakfast at Hotel St. Clair. So I'm thinking it's probably a healthy breakfast, and then he goes to the gym at the hotel as well. And we have Beatrice saying, "Oh, anointed sister, so beautiful. Thank you."
That's my anointed sister who also who's a workout guru.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we have I think we have a few questions, and I think Baby Lois has a question about the foods, but I just wanted to reiterate something that Claire said, which also tied in with her, right? This whole thing about being intentional and mindfulness, right? And I think that's why within our group, we don't really talk about it as what weight or whatever. It's really about your whole body and really your mind, because you have to be intentional and deliberate and very clear and find things that work, right? And be very results oriented. And again, be very intentional, be very specific, plan, be responsive, and be part of the community. So, just beautiful, Clara. And I'm really glad to see that, Mr. Minan, right? Your husband is going to get, SP is going to get on this as well. So we're inspiring other people. So could you guys, Claire, Najla, Ade, who also IF, could you share some examples of meals that you eat during your feast hours, right? And I'm always, again, cautious of using the word feast.
Yeah.
It has to do with portion size. And again, as a scientist, and, you cannot get away with big portions, right? There's just no rationale to it. But could you guys talk about, quote unquote, the feast hours and even the challenge with looking at it that way? So actually, Ade, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. So, okay, let me start by what Lorraine just said, and I like to not use that word feast, because when you use feast hours, then you want to, you know what a feast is, right? You want to go out there and eat whatever you want. So I don't use that word. And for me, I just had to change my mind the way I looked at breakfast, right? Because it is called breakfast. There's nowhere where it's written it's a breakfast has to be eaten 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, right? It just means you are breaking the fast that you were fasting while you were sleeping.
Right.
So yeah. So for me, when I eat my lunch, I just try to eat what I would have eaten for breakfast. So I would just eat like maybe an egg, fried, maybe boiled egg or fried egg with a salad, and maybe a side of some fruits. That is what I will eat for my lunch. And then for dinner, I will eat what I would have eaten for lunch, which could be anything from, most of the times I love sweet potatoes. So I will make some sweet potatoes and stir fry, or some chicken that I've made in the air fryer, or fish, and have a tea, drink some tea with it in the evening, so that I'm able to go to sleep and sleep well. Mm-hmm. So that, like, again, though, please don't use the word feast hours. So people will just go out there and start feasting and say, okay, I've been fasting all day, so now it's time to feast, and then overeat again, which is what we are trying to get away from. So my lunch is just now like my breakfast, and my breakfast is my dinner is my lunch. So I don't have anything for dinner.
Yeah, that's the whole mind. It's about repositioning your mind to have a healthy relationship with food, and just walk away from ideas of feasting or fasting, right? And just
that's right.
With food. Yeah. So now, did you want to say something as well? I see you applauding. Did you have anything to?
Yeah, I was just applauding everything everybody's saying. I totally agree with you. The concept of breakfast. Breakfast is when you break your fast, and the feast and the fast. Those are words that we stay away from. And the one other word that I also try personally to stay away from is the cleanse. I absolutely believe that your best cleansing is your hydration and your sweating. Your body helps, your body's metabolics and biologics and everything, physiological pathways, they cleanse for you. So there's a whole debate about all that. I don't bash people who do it, because I think in a sense it kind of boosts that metabolism as well in another way, even though it has its negatives. But I think the best cleanse, I try not to use the word cleanse for those things that they're doing. The best cleanse is just drink water and sweat. Okay, but in terms of the feasting, if you do an intermittent fast, please, just go in slowly. So I like the idea that a day just starts with what she would have for breakfast, something mild. I typically would do like a yogurt and then build it up slowly to my major meal. And typically, yes, things like sweet potatoes, kabocha, that's a super meal for everybody to incorporate into their meals. So it's like a pumpkin. It tastes like the pumpkins in Cameroon. So that's a really low calorie, high fiber, power meal for you. Have that with your vegetables or anything like that. So
Excellent. Thank you. Now, and to your point, we didn't talk about the cleanse, but that's another really great one. And sometimes people have to do it at the beginning, right? If you're starting a program or whatever. But to be sustainable, or things that, again, always think about this as a lifestyle transformation journey. So think about things that are not extremes and how you're gonna incorporate them into your lifestyle, right? So so thank you for that. So so we've been on for almost a couple of hours. So we're gonna think about how we start wrapping up and sort of get some closing messages. So we're actually gonna start with we have a question. We have a question. Is the stomach size really related to the portion size?
Yes.
So, no, right? So
did you say no? Then why is it that when people go to reduce the size of their stomach, when like people who are morbidly obese, the 600-pound people, why do they always get the surgery to reduce the size of their stomach?
Yeah, correct.
right? Because so that they can be able to eat smaller portions. Because if not, they have expanded their stomach so much over the years with what they eat, and
Correct.
now they have to reduce to a smaller size so that it doesn't, demand that amount of food. So yeah, I would
Absolutely.
think so.
Yeah, and I think that's why we keep going back to portion size, right? And even people who do, and I love, and I think again, Flora has the thing about the ways to reduce the size of your stomach. But as you know, even people who do, the bypass surgery, some of them gain weight again, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to know that a lot of this, sometimes these triage physiological things to do are great, but it really has to be about your lifestyle, and usually that comes from the mind, but also the emotion, right? We didn't go into the emotions behind why people get food addictions. I just started off with the soda addiction. So you also your emotion. I was also a chocolate person, because of travel, right? Every time I got on an airplane, I needed a bar of chocolate, and it will even be unconscious, right? The first thing, I don't like airline food. Even if I was flying business class or first class, I would still have chocolate. That's the first thing I would have, and I thought I could never live without chocolate. If I was at a hotel, the first thing I would take in the room, was the chocolate. And now I don't eat chocolate, right? So, and I didn't know I could do that. So I just encourage everybody. It is true, if you're overweight, if you're stressed about your weight or whatever, to do extreme measures, but always think about just consciously. I think Claire talked about the fact that it's got to be intentional. Kat talked about mindset. There's so many battles you can win, right? There's a lot of sayings about, once you get your mind right and why you're doing things, then you're free, right? You're free from all of these things. So let's that's why we call it a lifestyle transformation journey. It's about your whole life. You will look great like Sheila does, right? And wants to do, and people would admire you, and you wear great clothes. But most importantly, you as a person, you're in control of your life and your wellness. So as we're wrapping down, I'm sort of going to go around. Okay, so Albert has Hotel St. Clair is just the best. All right, very good. And Ima loves kombucha. Okay, very, very good. That's wonderful. So keep the comments coming, guys. We're going to keep acknowledging them. Share also things that you love, right? I know we've prompted some things here. Kombucha is a fermented food. We talked about the fact that fermented foods are typically healthy because they sort of help balance your digestive system. So share your ideas. I think Alois wants us to come back. So at some point, we'll come back and we'll even have more interaction. We're getting the question again. We will, don't worry. So as we prepare to close down, I'm going to start with you, Sheila. Eto, right? Sheila Eto. If there's any one takeaway that you would like people to, 1 or 2, 3 takeaways that you would like people to walk away with from, really, for you, it's been a lifetime journey, right? Starting as a kid. What would that be, right? Just about this whole journey and this whole process. So.
I think I'll advise our viewers to be consistent and be patient. That is all I can say.
Short and sweet. Consistency and patience.
That is chips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Short and sweet. All right, Ka, I know you're the model of consistency, right? Because you do 26 days in a row, 25 days in a row. So what advice, what thoughts would you have for our audience as we kind of wind down the show? I think you're muted.
I would just say, make it your own. It's one, as I say, it's not one size. It's not one size fits all. So make it your own. Look what works for you. Like I say, work interrupts. The amount of food we eat interrupts everything. Interrupts. So you need to make it your own, because sometimes we see somebody's done something and we think, if I do that, it might work for me. It might not, and you'll be disappointed with your own self. So I don't go with one size. I just don't want to say it's one size fits all. Something that a friend of mine can do might not work for me, and it could be because of the way I'm eating. It could be the way because of my metabolism, like Nadella says. There's so many things that will it's different. We're so different in the way we're created. So let's make your own pathway and go from there. Think about your food, think about the way you want to exercise, because when you start making it too much routine, then you kind of fall off. For me now, I dance in the kitchen, I jump in my bathroom even. I I do the weight sometimes, anything. So I call it cast whatever. So
and it's always fun, right? So I love this ownership, right? Make it your own. And yeah, go ahead.
Another thing, sorry, Lorraine. Another thing, I think the one who has really worked for me is keeping it, putting it on the social media has made me accountable. That's one of the things that has really worked, because I attended a conference and they said anything you want to do, if you put it out there for people to waiting to see you, then you will do it. So I've used that path for now. Because I think in June it was my birthday, and I said, but in May, I said to myself, for a month, I want to do 10,000 steps every day. And I did it. And that went viral as well. I love the fact that it went viral because my lesser sisters took it, my Coventry ladies took it. I just put it on my status, and everybody was like, okay, we're going to be copying what you're doing. And everybody went walking and posting it on their status. It was fun. So throw it out there so that you'll be accountable, and then you make yourself do it.
Absolutely, Ka. Just be bold, right? Take bold enough to say, I'm gonna talk about it and see, right? And if I fail, I fail. I just want that whole not being afraid. And as you see,
human, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's human to fail or to win. So I go by that.
Yep. And just make up your mind that you're going to be bold, and I'm going to step in it and try my best. So that's beautiful, Ka. And as you guys all see, we have a message from a very, very special classmate, Sister Angel. So she's actually a nun, right, in Ireland. She's actually watching us all the way from a convent in Ireland. So, so Sister Angel, thank you very much. Right? Such a sweet message. This means a lot. Every single comment on the show means a lot. So thank you guys. And it's beautiful. I had no idea Angela was watching us, right? So I'm hoping all the sisters, right? I know the sisters are watching us as well. So this is beautiful. Thank you. So yeah, so we definitely have to be back and even share more. So thank you, Kai. Again, I love this. I think the other really cool thing you said was about the ownership and making it your own. And I think part of that is when you're in a group where you have trust and people support you no matter what, right? Because sometimes in a group, people want to be uniform or checking each other. So I hope the other thing people take away from today, as you see, everybody has a different approach, right? And we support each other, we learn from each other. There are certain common things we do. Like I said, the air fryer, we all air fry and we share pictures of our air fried food. So there are some common things we all do. The walking, we all walk, we dance. But we also really, really respect and value the other things and appreciate the other things that other people do and encourage them as well. So just really, really beautiful. So I'm actually gonna come to you, Ade, for like closing comments and any additional takeaways that you have for us.
Okay. So for me, the thing I would advise everybody is just like the other Ka and Sheila has said. Find what works for you. Find what works for you. Like if you followed my story from the beginning, you will see that I went through a lot of iterations, right? Looking for what works for me. And finally, I'm able to put a finger on intermittent fasting. And now that is what works for me. And then secondly, when you decide that you are not going to eat something, do not remove it from your shopping list, right? Like when I decided that I was not going to eat sugar anymore, I did not buy sugar. When I decided I was not going to drink soda anymore, for 2 years now, for almost 10 years now, no soda has been on our shopping list. Because if you buy it, you eat it. So I do not buy soda. for that reason, because I don't want to drink it, and I don't want anybody in my household to drink it. So I took it off my shopping list. Okay, so that is, and then be consistent, right? Be consistent. Find what you like doing and be consistent on doing it. You know, for me, I've put a target of 15,000 steps a day, and I do that every day except Sunday. I take a break on Sunday, and then I do 1 day meal a day on Sunday. Most Sundays. Some Sundays I fail because I'm at home. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. But majority of the Sundays I eat one meal, and it has worked for me. It has. So again, just find what works for you.
Fantastic, Ade. And again, a lot of consistency that we're seeing here across messages, right? So absolutely. I love the idea of action, right? You say, I don't want soda. I'm going to take soda out of my life. No waffling. It's all up here. It's in the mind. So that's fantastic. Which, again, is what Claire was talking about, being intentional. So Claire, takeaways.
Well, I think what I'll have to say as a takeaway for today is, you know what they say, that the only bad workout is the one that did not happen, right? So just get up, do whatever, just keep moving, and make it your workout. So and then of course, everything else that has been said about food, but think about food, think about your food as your king, and think about the exercise as your queen. And together, they make your kingdom, which is you. So be intentional about taking care of that kingdom, and the rest will fall in place.
There we go.
I like that, Claire. I like that, Claire.
I love that, Claire.
I like that.
We have a lot of queens, right?
One more thing, just one more thing.
Those
that do behind the computer jobs like me, that you sit behind the computer for 10 hours a day, please just set an alarm. I have every hour. I have a Fitbit. It would alert you, stand up. Just stand up and do something. Because of my ankle, I can't do really much of jumping jack. But what I do is every hour, as I work from home, every hour I just get up and I do 50 jumping jacks. And then I sit down. Every hour I just get up and do 50 jumping jacks, so that you keep, your blood circulation going, and you are not just sitting and staring. I used to sit and stare at the screen sometimes for 12 hours non-stop, and I would not get up. And it was bad. I put on so much weight, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ade, I'm so glad you brought that in, right? This whole idea about even the change in lifestyle and sedentary lifestyles, because to Nigela's point about our African diets, part of why a lot of it became unhealthy was because our lifestyles changed, right? If you think about when people used to eat a lot of fufu, well, it's because they'll eat at 5 a.m. in the morning, they're in the fields all day, they're walking all day, or they're walking, they're doing heavy physical exercise, they'll burn that food, right? And so when you change now to a more sedentary lifestyle where you're not as mobile, you're not as active, you also have to be, again, that's why it's always about your mindset and thinking. And I think within our group, I shared with a bunch of people, with COVID and having to work from home 100% of the time, and no longer having a commute, what I found that I added yoga to my workout because I needed a mental break, right? So I was doing physical exercise, but I also needed exercise that physically would move me. My commute now is going up and down the stairs from my bedroom to work, right? So it's very, very important to be cognizant of the changes you're going through. I added yoga. Unfortunately, there's a lot of yoga exercises that are fitness, right? People often think yoga is about meditation. No, it's about your muscle. And so you have to be intentional again. Make sure you find something that works, that helps to motivate and stimulate you and get you going every day. So thank you. Oh, wow. So we also have another message from Navrat. Thank you, Morgan. And thanks to the panelists and fine educators. We rock. How? You couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it any better, no, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Navrat.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot for us. We're sharing, as you can see, very personal stories. So it's wonderful when, again, people can relate, and it means something to people. And we hope you're as inspired as we are, and you also inspire other people. So we're gonna close out with Dr. Nigella before I close out the show. But now, closing out with you, what are some of the key takeaways and thoughts that you have for our audience as we go?
So I think this has been phenomenal. I just first of all want to thank our chair, our hostess.
I know.
Fabulous job. She's always, I used to always take second or third in class. There was always someone ahead of me. And that was Lorraine Niba. So needless to say, she's fabulous. Just brilliant. We thank you for doing this. So I think key takeaways, and everybody has talked about it, being intentional, as Dr. Claire said, mindset, that whole mindset, meditate, use it, be yourself, use your intuition, use your mind, because it's a body mind whole issue, and it's a lifestyle change. It's not a stop or start issue. It's a lifestyle change. And one other thing I want to throw in, and I think I started this with the fact of community. If you add in another aspect of your personal wellness to how you are accountable to your community, it makes it well worth it. And so if you're joining a weight loss group, if you can think of maybe donating to some other activity that's away from yourself, it makes it even more sustainable. So that's the additional thing I would add to it. And I'm going to throw in a shameless plug here that we're working. I'm working together with the I Am Cameroon platform to raise funds for our frontliners in Cameroon for COVID. And it's all going to be about wellness and fitness. So the whole month of October, I am going to be partnering with a lot of our fitness gurus. You've heard of Sandy Jumpsuit, you've heard of Coach K. She doesn't even know it yet, but Enaka, Adija, Foncham Joseph in the UK, and many others. We're all going to work together. I think I missed here. And Marwan Mundi, Kingsley Senze. We're trying to get everybody together. We're already making a fitness fun cultural video that we are going to share out. That's going to be a registration platform for you all to go in and register. As an individual, it's $25 only. Every cent transparently is going to go to help our frontliners in Cameroon. It's an apolitical group. Please don't worry about the whole political spiel around I Am Cameroon. We are fighting a virus. Our enemy is that virus. It's not whether you speak one language or the other. So please join us in this platform. Use this 30 days in October to build your fitness level. If you were someone who used to stroll, we want you to walk. If you were someone who used to walk, we want you to start running. If you're someone who used to run, we want you to start sprinting. Stretch your horizon. Our bodies can be stretched. And learn about nutrition. You're going to get motivational sayings, educational pitches from the best of us. And it's going to be the community moving this forward. So stay tuned. I'll be please check my Facebook page. I will send it out to as many groups as possible. Please go in, register your families. You will enjoy this while giving back to the community. Thank you all so much.
Indeed. Wonderful, Nigella. And, my Beatrice says, Mana, my NTS trainer. So you have like a personal posse calling, the show. So that's wonderful. Oh my gosh. The time has flown, right?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel so inspired. So first of all, I really want to, as we close down, I really want to thank Lambert, right? Because, first of all, he has this incredible platform and always covers very topical areas. And today is an example, right? So for someone to say, you know what, you can use my platform to tell the story. I believe in what you guys are doing, being able to reach people, being very supportive. So we're very, very grateful. You know, the Lambom show. Lambert is a journalist, by the way, which is why the quality of his show is so good. You know, he's also on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can see more shows like this. Now, I think we have a remit. You know, Norbert has made sure that has twice that when are we coming back? So, so we're gonna continue talking about this. As you can see, there's a lot of topics. There's a lot of experience. You know, we're just a really vibrant group. So Lambert, we really want to thank you. I cannot say thank you enough, of course, to my Faith sisters. You know, a phenomenal panel, as you guys can see. Just really top class women, right? You know, everybody, you know, just like walking in their own space. We even have Eto among us, right? So we're just a few of an incredible group of women. There's a lot, each and every single one of us is like this, right? And that's why we call ourselves space setters. So I'm not bragging, but we have a fun group and really good support. They're all supporting and watching us. So I want to thank you all, my sisters, for being here. I think Na had mentioned that, you know, thank me. Well, I couldn't do this if you guys were not here, right? So we're all together, we're sisters, always very supportive of each other, and really have this wonderful network and community. And finally, I want to thank our audience, right? Because, you know, so many people watching, sending in comments, so engaged, giving us feedback, asking us questions. Thank you for doing this. You know, it's a weekend, everybody needs their time, but to really take, you know, to really take their time to come here and watch and interact with us. So please do this, you know, share the message and stay with us as we have opportunities to come back and share even more. So thank you very much. And so I'm just going to close with where we started, right? Which is the Tom Sanders quote, which I know is also a favorite of Lambert's, which is that your network is your net worth, right? Now, in all fairness, when Tom Sanders wrote this, it was more about money, right? Because network is also about money. So it applies to everything in life. But I think the people you surround yourself with, and my dad always says this to me, people say, you know, your community is very important, right? So a lot of these networks that we belong to, that you're a part of, they really motivate you, right? So as you've heard from what we shared today, everybody had a different takeaway. But as you all see, it's not about the physical activity, you know, it's values and things like consistency and patience and being intentional. So a lot of it is really about character as a person, and your character is really shaped and really built by the people that you surround yourself with. So community is very important. I think you've all heard my sisters use that word over and over again. And community is not just a group of people in a room. I always say that a team is not just a group of people, but it's the trust, is the connectedness, is the support. Community is very, very important. And again, this is a lifestyle transformation journey. So again, as you see, it's not about quick fixes. We didn't give you any magic diet. We gave you a ton of solutions, a ton of approaches. Ade talked about the fact that have targets and have goals, and make sure that you're intentional and think about this as a lifestyle transformation journey. So I thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. And have a wonderful rest of the evening for those in Europe and in Cameroon, for those in the US. I know a lot of us. For the people in Houston, we will make ourselves very visible. You know, for all of our big sisters who've been supporting, all of my friends here in New Jersey. I know my Soroptimist Club ladies also, you know, promoted this. So thank you all very much. And have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,